Good afternoon and welcome to Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth Show, where we are returning youth and young adults back to a productive life after incarceration. Please visit returningyouth.com and donate today. That's returningyouth.com. We are live on the radio to over 30 million homes on WPAT 930 AM every Friday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and streaming live on Facebook at facebook.com/returningyouth, as well as YouTube. Dr. Khanna is an attorney, a child safety advocate, a servant of the underserved, and a champion of the nonprofit Voice for Kids. Dr. Khanna launched his post-incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act initiative, also known as the Returning Youth Initiative. Dr. Khanna saw that the Reformation Act did not adequately care for ex-offenders once they were released, and so he decided to address this with his Returning Youth Initiative. By providing post-incarcerated young adults and youth with housing, training, along with the required medical and psychological assistance needed to secure a job, build their careers, and greatly improve their lives. I'm your host, Angelica Robinson. Please welcome Refael Alvarez and a very special guest, Clem Yeboah. And Refael, do we have any updates? Could you tell us what's new?
Of course, Angelica. Thank you once again. Very excited to see our friend here, Clem Yeboah, to be telling us, I guess, his story about his involvement with the Dr. Khanna Returning Youth Initiative. I can tell you that since we visited Nashville, Tennessee, there has been a lot of movement, a lot of things are happening. We're very excited with the partnership that we created now with Robert Sharrow and his team over there, at a point that we are laying out the strategic plan to be able to do a grand opening of our Home of Hope and also our Safe Haven facility out of Nashville, Tennessee. So please, pay attention, keep on the lookout, because soon we're gonna be announcing when we're gonna be launching those two facilities over there and when we're gonna have a ribbon cutting ceremony. At the same time, I would like to announce that Dr. Khanna just returned from the beautiful state of Oregon. He was in Oregon visiting, meeting some interesting people that really are eager to be part of what we are building. They would like to become a representative for the initiative, a state and also county representative for the initiative in the beautiful state of Oregon. So as you can see, Angelica, we continue growing and growing and growing. There are a lot more people that we have received application. We are reviewing those applications, and we hope that they can be on board as soon as possible. And if any of you are interested to becoming a county representative or state representative, just visit our website so you can request the application so we can send it to you, and then you will be able to evaluate your application, and hopefully you will be able to be part of this great initiative. Angelica, what do you think?
I love that. And of course, those applications can be found at the website at returningyouth.com. So please visit the website, donate today, and come and join us. Awesome. Are those our updates, Refael?
Those are the updates right now. That's what I have.
Excellent. Well, let's get into our special guest today. We are actually really excited to have one of our own today. We've got Clem with us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Clem. And
Thank you.
You are in the Dr. Khanna family. You are a part of the Returning Youth family. But if you could just share a bit of your background, your bio, a little bit about, what you were doing before you were part of this amazing initiative.
My goodness. My story is a long story. I'll keep it as short as possible. I'm originally from Ghana in Africa, and I've been a CPA since 1983, New York CPA. And in the course of working, I've worked for several nonprofits, for-profits, several companies in the high end, like Verizon, like MetLife, like Cigna. But the key for me right now is to give something back to society. The nonprofit organizations I worked for included Crossroads Africa, which was focused on taking college-age kids to go into Africa and to learn a lot about the origins of the Black people, to learn a lot about if they were white kids or they were Latino kids or something, to learn a little bit about the different ethnic group. We did that. People came back with a little bit more understanding of humanity. The other groups I work for, one was Northern Manhattan Perinatal Networks. Perinatal means before, during, and after birth. Before, during, and after. So I cared so much about that process. What happens to the child? What happens before the pregnancy even takes place? What happens after pregnancy? What are the impacts? The mother gets taken care of, the fetus gets taken care of, then there's the postnatal. What happens? So all of those experiences would then, currently influence some of the things that I'm doing. And yes, it's been a great journey. It's been a great experience. I will not for any moment give any part of those experiences for anything else. It's been a great journey, learning so much about humanity and mankind. And I've come to a place where I want to give back. So in a way that tells a little bit about my background. As we go in this conversation, I'll make some specific references to some of the things and how they are impacting me today.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, that sounds amazing. It sounds like you've had quite a bit of a journey, and that, I mean, you've been in this business for quite a minute. I guess, with your CPA background, what would bring you to an initiative like the Returning Youth program?
Well, the Returning Youth program caters to a segment of population, and that segment is what I refer to as a forgotten segment. They are forgotten by the rest of the people, but in this economy, some of the key drivers of the economy like that population. Okay, this is what I mean by that. There's a lot of young people, Latino, African-American, people of color generally, who are being used as recyclable, if you will, value in the justice system. They need to be in prison in order to support the prison industry. I repeat, these young people, the way the brokers of the prison industry look at it, these young people have to be in prison to sustain the prison industry. The prison industry is a very, very, very huge industry. In some counties in this country, this industry supports the economy. If you shut down a prison, a county a city may collapse. It's almost something like what we refer to as a campus town, a campus city, a university town, university city. If you shut down the college, the whole system collapses. Prisons are similarly placed. Now, the way I see it, these young men have been forgotten by the rest of society. What has been happening is that they keep going back into the prison system. And it's a process where the technical term is recidivism, where the same group of people are being sent back over and over and over and over again.
Clem, what is the price tag for every prisoner? If that is the fact, I mean, if they are going back, so every time they go back, I guess the system, the jail system make money out of every prisoner that is in jail. And do you have numbers? I mean, more or less?
I don't have the numbers offhand, but the numbers are phenomenal. They are astronomical. They blow your mind. The millions and millions of dollars are spent to not just the buildings. The people have to be fed in the prison system. They have to be clothed. Someone has to provide the beds. Someone has to provide whatever it is, the laundry, everything. And it is part of a structure that supports a certain industry. So but in the meantime, the human beings who are being used as a goods are forgotten. See, the essence of freedom is that each person has a right to the basic human development, basic moving up in society, basic having a job, having income, having something without being, shunted off into a corner where he's forgotten. So this whole idea is to bring a focus onto that population and why they are forgotten, and then to find a way to correct that anomaly in our society. Everyone is born free, and we want everyone to be free.
That is.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Refael.
I just wanted to exclaim, how do you were able to connect with Dr. Khanna and be able to start working on establishing this initiative? Because in reality, go ahead, Angelica.
Yeah, but wait, before we get in that, because that's I mean, what you just said, Clem, it really kind of hit me to my core, simply because when you're talking about the prison system and how, I mean, this is very much related to how this initial country, how America in itself was built. It was built on slave labor from various races, right? And then when you are incarcerated, you lose your freedom rights. You lose those rights. And according to the 13th Amendment, right now, still in our Constitution, if you are incarcerated, you are no longer considered a free man. You are back to being a slave, right?
More or less, yes.
Yes, and so that's still written in our current Constitution. And so you have the same exact rights as what a slave would have, and which is disgusting that this has not been amended. It's disgusting that it hasn't been changed or adjusted in a multitude of years. But the reality is that, those people, men, non-binary, women, all those folks that are incarcerated, whether they are youth, young adults, whatever, it's horrendous to see that, we are still feeding into this type of capitalistic society in which America was originally founded and built. And so,
well, I mean, and that's a you touch on a very interesting and for me, it's a very sore point, where I always say that before 1620, when the Mayflower came in, there was a 1619 event where another vessel came into Virginia with the first, population of Black people. And the point is that from that first group who were really born servants, and the landlords, the key people in Virginia at that time, saw to it that they were transformed from bond servants into slaves. Because after they served the term of their bond, they were never returned to be made free. And later on, Virginia enacted some laws that said even their offsprings become slaves. Initially, the offsprings were free. Okay, so and the notion that in this country, all along the way, different things are being done to maintain the slavery mentality. The changes to the 13th Amendment, which could be made, it's not being made.
It's not.
Okay, and rather the system is ensuring that the people of color will go back into that servitude.
Yeah.
Okay, so it hasn't changed. The mentality is still the same. And if we can improve, the performance, and we say recidivism, that is making sure that they go back in, Wow, that's a bad situation for the Black people. It's a bad situation for the Latino people. In recent days, the Latino population in the jail systems has surpassed the Black population in the jail system. It doesn't mean that the Black population has gone down.
Yeah, no, it's still every 1 in 4 Black people, or Black men at least, are incarcerated. So it's still horrendous numbers.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
our
So,
people of color, regardless, Latino, Black, whatever, Indigenous, Native American folks, they are snatching them up.
right. So in several ways, this becomes a way for us to regain the dignity of the minorities. If we can reduce recidivism, we are regaining the dignity. We are putting them in where society will see what they've done in society. And by the way, see, a lot of times we don't talk about the contribution that minority people have made to advancement of technology, advancement of science, advancement of anything in this country. Inventions and everything else. So if we take this population and we prevent them from being part of society, can you imagine what we're losing out on? What the America is losing out? The potential for these minds to come and contribute something significant to society. By locking them up, we shut it up.
As a matter of fact, I was reading an article the other day that someone, came right out of Yale, came and became a multimillionaire because while this person, I think he's Afro-American, he was in jail, he developed something that became so popular that people were willing to pay him millions and millions of dollars for that, for that technology that he developed while he was incarcerated. Very interesting stuff, But you're right. You are 100% correct. It is very, very interesting, the history, and to see, my Latino community, I hate to say it, but the numbers speak louder than anything else, and
yes.
numbers doesn't look good to us for
Yes.
my community.
There's actually a current bill on the Senate floor right now that is speaking to addressing the fact that, and it has to do with the teaching, I think teaching racial, what is the word? It's about it's the new debate in schools right now. And forgive me because I'm misquoting. Huh?
Right. The history of the minorities.
Right.
History.
And so they've actually, within the House had included all people of color and women, and the Senate floor removed every single person of color and mention of women within that list. And so they are literally whitewashing history, which is insane and crazy, and
exactly.
taking out of taking the contributions of both people of color and women out of the equation, out of the conversation, which is crazy. But I mean, but that, I mean, what you're talking about, it really does bring us back to the recidivism rate, and exactly what Refael had mentioned about, you know, like talking about like how, like, I mean, this is why you care and why you got involved with Dr. Khanna's program. So like how did you and Dr. Khanna connect, and like how did that happen?
Well, it's interesting. One of my philosophies is uh, building wealth and maintaining health. Wealth and health. And I'll get to the answer in a minute. There is no point in someone being wealthy if they're not healthy. You have $10 million and you're going to die in 2 months. What's the point? There is no point in living to 130 if you are poor. How are you going to sustain it? So the two things work hand in hand. And when I met Dr. Khanna, we were doing a project to create, food systems for the poor people in poor economies and so on. And that is the algae project, where we will grow algae, and during disaster periods, earthquake in Turkey, earthquake wherever, algae can be used as a food. It's one of the most potent natural foods under the sun. Okay? Algae can be used to produce gasoline and power to maintain equipment whilst taking care of the disaster. If we can teach the poor economies, like in Eritrea, in Ethiopia, in any of those places, how to grow that, they can feed themselves, they can sustain themselves, they can make money to live off of that. But it goes to the core point of serving humanity, regardless of where they are located. So we looked at populations in India. We looked at populations in South America. We looked at populations all over the globe. And then we said, let's start from our own backyard. Let's see what is it that we can do for humanity in our own backyard that will bring longevity, that will bring an elevation of the wealth and an elevation of health. And we said, okay, all these young minds that are being used as fodder for the jail system, if we can help bring them back out, then we are in a position to help elevate the wealth and value of society in general, extend the longevity, do everything else. So the core of bringing financial health into this country is really the young people, 16 to 28. They start at 16 to learn. By the time they're 28, they should be already established in doing something. But if those populations are being sent to jail, then we have a problem. So right. Our solution is a long-term solution, not a short-term quick fix. Let's get them isolated, get them trained, get them where they can be a service to society. Then the whole society as a whole will see an improvement in the development. And that's the way we viewed it.
And Clem, how then, after you connected with Dr. Khanna, how do you guys come up with this idea of creating this initiative? How that came about?
So we looked at the 1974 Juvenile Justice Reformation Act. Now, the act was very good at providing for during incarceration, when the people are already incarcerated, what should we do for them? We should separate youngsters from adults. We should do this, we should do that. Well, this legislation was reauthorized several times. 2009, 2013. The latest reauthorization was 2018. President Trump was a part of that reauthorization. Now, it was reauthorized in 2018. The key is that legislation provided funding to the states, to the counties, to the jail system to fix something, so that by the time the young people come out, okay, they are already set for society. Unfortunately, the jail systems have not, or the counties and the cities and the states have not properly implemented the requirements of this legislation. Monies get given to the states and the monies get returned because it hasn't been done. In the meantime, the young people are being recycled. So the key is, well, after reading that legislation and looking at the reauthorizations and looking at all the stuff in there that says we should do this, we should do that to prevent them coming back. And then understanding that, hey, them coming back serves somebody. It serves somebody who is making money off of the prison system. Okay, so it's better to send the money back than fix it. All right, in this view, it's very difficult for anyone to fix the prison system. Because let's face it, our judicial system is all flawed. The way a lot of positions in the judicial system, the way they are filled, policemen move on to become prosecutors, they move on to become judges, and you know, so whatever was they were doing as police, whatever the mandates were for them to arrest these people and treat them as whatever, those mandates are maintained by the prosecutors and by the justice system.
That's exactly what happened in Los Angeles. George Gascon, who was chief, you know, he's now DA. He's now the district attorney.
Right. Okay. So in a lot of cities and towns, you don't have to have gone to law school to be a judge. Okay. So the person is coming off of being a policeman or being in law enforcement, and then next you know, the person is a judge. So they have a reason to favor someone who is bringing a case against somebody who is a policeman bringing a case. They have a pathway to believe that the policeman says this happened, rather than that the victim says the other thing happened. Okay, so that flaw in the system, and the way the system is also orchestrated in a population where there is a lot of minority, you will find that the majority is of the police force is of another kind. Okay, then they rise through the ranks and become judges and become, so the same order, the same restrictive, controlling nature governs that society. And by us trying to remove the population that goes back into jail, then we are able to do something to change that ruling system. And that's what needs to change.
So you had mentioned, you know, you've recognized and identified a lot of the issues within our government, within our society, and how we're governing our society, and how those law enforcement roles really govern other governmental roles. But like, how did you individually, you Clem and Dr. Khanna, then decide to, you know, put together this initiative or change the initiative of what you guys did see to then to what it is today? Like at how like, was this last year, was this 2 years ago that you guys were just like, we have to do something and here's how we're going to formulate it? Like when did that happen and how did that come about?
Okay, well, I had formed a nonprofit called the Voice of the Kids.
Okay.
And Voice of the Kids, and we had Dr. Khanna to be a champion for us, to speak for us in different places. Voice of the Kids is about giving voice to kids in whatever situation. So even from when they are a fetus, somebody has to speak for them. So as in the fetal state, the mother, is talking about parental rights. I have a right to drink, I have a right to smoke, I have a right to do something, all right? Okay, but if you are carrying the baby has a right not to have alcohol passing through the baby's blood system. They also have a right to choose yes or no. You see, the once you created the baby has a right to live. After the baby has been born, the baby has a right to go to school. The baby has a right. So we're looking at Voice of the Kids, giving a voice to kids.
You know, Clem, I gotta stop you there because, you know, you can't realistically have rights without a birth date.
Okay.
you gotta at least have a birth date before you can actually have rights within America.
When you're talking about legal is when you have a birth date. Okay, but from the human natural standpoint, okay, from the fact of a life is already, the heart is beating in the tummy, there is a life.
Yeah,
right?
But you know,
So,
fetuses are debatable.
Right.
that's
so
a debatable topic.
Does that heartbeat mean that it has a right to survive? Or does someone have the right to snuff it?
Yes, people do have that right.
Okay, so I mean, this is a debate, but anyway, Voice of the Kids, we believe that during that period, for example, the mother has to be given every support for whatever they're going through to translate into the child.
So you created Voice for the Kids, and then from Voice for the Kids, the organization evolved to become Returning.
Well, Voice of the Kids, again, looking at childhood, looking at in the school systems, looking at all the way to age 21, the different things that they go through. If they are given the right voices at the different times, some of the things that is going on, which causes them to either run away from home or join the wrong crowd or be selling drugs on the corner or doing something, those things will go away. And if those things go away, then there won't be a need for them to go into jail. So Dr. Khanna and I looked at the system as pre-incarceration, which is what Voice of the Kids really is trying to be an advocate of maintaining a quality citizenship life for every child. Pre-incarceration, during incarceration, which the law is already there to take care of it, but nothing is being done properly. And post-incarceration, where the law is not there and nobody is taken care of. And so we said, okay, let's start with post-incarceration. Let's see what we can do with these young men who are coming out. Let's make them mentors for the
I want to
young.
specify you're young people, right? Because you work more than with just men. You work with non-binary people, with women, with men as well. So yeah, so young people.
Yes. Right, young people who are coming out. In order to do a good job, we always have to start from somewhere. And our choice is young men. And it is not intended as a discriminatory factor. We are starting with them, experimenting and finessing it. And then we're going to go to young women, add them to the population. The fact is, Dr. Khanna and I, being men, understand, we think, young men better than we can ever understand young women. Once we have a foundation and we can bring in the right expertise to help us deal with young women, we are bringing in young women also.
Okay, so then hang on a second. So are you saying that the Returning Youth program doesn't currently work with people that are not men?
At this point, that's correct.
Interesting. Didn't know that. That's news for me.
Well, okay, let me explain what we're doing.
Sure.
We receive them coming from incarceration. We place them into housing. Then in housing, we teach them high life skills. I'm just giving a 60-foot view. Life skills, case management. We give them on-the-job training. We place them in a career, and we do that. In our strategy, during this first year, we want to be grounded doing this. Okay, grounded in the movement of this through the process.
So is Dr. Khanna's program, the Returning Youth program, has it only been established for less than a year? Or because I thought it's
for
been
less than a year. Yeah, we've been, I would say, the past 10 months actively trying to establish. Okay. Now, once we are firmly in control of what we're doing, then we bring in the young women, because we cannot have them in a co-ed homes.
And so, non-binary people?
Again, those are another group that we have to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. So the program isn't finished developing, right? The program is going to continue to expand, going to continue to cater for all. But right now, it is not strategically the right thing to introduce everyone at the same time. The program will fail. So there is an implementation plan that says you do this group first, then you add on this group, and you add on this group. Same way in the age populations. Right now, we are focusing in the ages from 18 to 26. Yes, in some cases, we can add someone who is 28 or 30 or whatever, but again, we cannot have someone who is 50 in the home with someone who is 19. Their needs are different. Yeah. Okay, our focus right now is 18 to 26. At the appropriate time, we'll add on additional age groups. We are not, at this point, bringing in youth coming from incarceration who are under 18. We cannot mix them in the same housing. Okay, so there is a rollout methodology. Yeah. And we are doing it in a way as to be, I guess, considerate of the needs of the different populations.
So what is your specific role within the initiative?
Well, I'm the president of the board. And what I'm doing right now is orchestrating and managing the different aspects of the implementation, making sure that I'm keeping an eye out for every piece that is being done, to make sure that it's done right, to make sure that somebody else's rights are not trampled over, but to make sure that there is some success factors in place. Of course, my accounting background, my experience and expertise in the nonprofit world, and all that, it allows for creating good governance, creating good program dynamics and strategies, and it allows for us to prepare to be able to report on any funding that we receive from whatever source.
Well, Clem, I mean, the way you explain it, it sounds fantastic. It sounds like you guys, I mean, that the initiative is doing a great job, and this is something that is needed, and you are focusing, or we're focusing on a specific target audience, da 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 da. But in reality, I don't think that this is the only initiative that is nationwide. I mean, what really makes Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth initiative different compared with everybody else? What is the nugget? What
Okay.
is the sauce here?
All right. There are a lot of initiatives that receive these populations from the prison system and put them in halfway houses, and these terms are being used very specifically, halfway houses. So in that situation, it is almost like an extension of the jail system. They come in with a certain stipulation. Okay, you have a curfew, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that. Now, here is the difference. We look at people who have come out, they have no place to call home. We are not giving them a house to go and live in. We are giving them a home. So part of that is we will have a person that we call a house parent. And because they tend to be women, so we call them, jokingly, we call them house mama. The house mama is an adult presence in the house to help coordinate and provide some of the skills that they never had because they spent their growing up years in jail. Help them without sounding like they are let's say a jail officer looking over their shoulders. Now, they come into a home, part of them being in the home, but before they come in, we go through a psychological assessment, medical assessment. We check to see if their vaccinations and everything else is in place. Because we don't want someone bringing in something that can impact other members of the household. So we want to make sure that everyone understands, everyone knows where anyone is at. Then we devise with them a career path. For anyone to be accepted into the program, they will accept to follow the career path, make a commitment to pursue the career path that they have chosen with us. Some of the career paths include, and basically it's all entrepreneurial in nature. We're going to teach them how to be entrepreneurs. All right? They're going to, for example, CDL or commercial driver license situation. We teach them how to, obtain the license. They will work for a company that will identify for them. They will work for a period while they get their feet wet, where they learn the industry.
This is the
Then,
license to drive trucks. Is that the one?
yes, how to drive trucks. Then, if they want to stay in that industry and be an entrepreneur, we assist them to acquire their own trucks. We place them in a situation where they will have loads for their trucks. So once we've done that, we've placed them in a position where they can go forward. They own their own trucks. They're a business owner. They've got to get up in the morning and go to work. It is what they do that brings food on their table. We are teaching them over a period of time that this is how you need to cater for yourself. Once they learn that process, the desire for them to go back into the jail system is minimized. Hopefully, we can eradicate that desire. All right? Now, if they don't want to be entrepreneurs, but they just want to stay employed, we just make sure that they stay employed. What we recognize is that there's a good percentage of this population that is coming in with expertise in salesmanship. Okay? Expertise in salesmanship. If the person can stand at the corner and sell so many joints a day to make $100 a day for themselves, after paying the people in their marketing hierarchy, whatever the number is, in order for them to sell enough, $1,000 for them to keep 10% for themselves, they've got to be able to speak to so many people, and they've got to be able to maintain a clientele.
Clem, that's actually something we talk about very regularly on the show, about how a lot of these youth, they do have those entrepreneurial skills already.
They already have the skills.
Those are really strong transferable skills that you can utilize within various ways of business. And it's not just selling one thing is just the same as selling another. Just teaching these children to teaching these youth to do it in a legal way. And so yes, you're absolutely right. We definitely talk about that regularly on this program.
Exactly. And it's the same thing, but it's another person standing at the corner pimping. Same thing. That energy, that expertise can be rechanneled. If that's what they did in jail, they have the expertise. We just have to find the right product, the right thing for them to do. And we believe that every person can be pointed in the right direction to do the right thing. And that's why we're doing this. That's why we're doing this.
I think it's very interesting when you explain it like that, because a lot of people don't realize that, and it's very, very sad if you think about it, because society kind of, in a way, it's like these people did something wrong. They went to jail. They pay already. They're ready.
Right. Right.
They come out to society, and then instead of companies and employers to embrace their skills, they do the opposite. They don't want to get the opportunity. They don't trust them. They want to. When these people, many of them are so smart. I don't know the term, if the term is street smart. When you are. Those people have skills that can enhance and can be very useful for any business owner, any entrepreneur that is running a company.
And we are recognizing
you cannot read that in a book. You cannot get it from somebody else. You have to be there and learn it, and they have it, and they have it.
Right. So we are recognizing that there are many employers who are shunning this group. So by looking at the entrepreneurial path, we are also creating through a franchising system, right? And in this franchising system, the franchisor is going to create the business process and the model. The franchisor is doing the marketing. The franchisor is setting up everything in place. So these young people don't have to do a lot of the work to reinvent the wheel. And if they want to set up a barber shop, great. We'll show you a brand, and and we'll market the brand. You set up the barber shop. You do your skills. You put it on whatever you want, but we are doing it for you. We already have the processes in place so you can be successful at being a barber. You want to be a landscaper, we set it up. You know, we help with the marketing. We help with you finding clients so that you can be successful. And we put you on that path to success. Now, yes, granted, we recognize that a lot of them did not finish with the basic high school education. Some of them would like to go back to college. Now, in our method, we are looking at placing you in an economic position first, placing your feet in the ground where you can pay rent, where you can buy food. Then we are still going to hold your hand on how you can go back to college, how you can finish your high school education with boasts or whatever method, whatever system, how you can do that. So it is not really like we put you in a job as compared to other initiatives. They put you in a job, their job is done, they walk away. No, we want to make sure that you are successful in your career. We want to make sure that if you need to go back to college, we'll help you with counseling, with what you need to get back into college. That's the difference.
Clem, so I can see what is the goal here. So you guys are building a model, and the goal here, I guess, is to replicate this. How do you guys are planning? What is the strategy behind to replicate this, to grow this? And what is the growth expansion that Dr. Khanna and you are having?
Well, it's sometimes we all say it's very simple, but it's not. It's complicated. We are planning on taking this to all 50 states. Within each of the 50 states, there are counties. We want to have a presence in each county. There's 3,142 counties in the country. So we want a presence in each county. Now, it's 2 of us. We cannot be in 3,000 places at the same time. So what we are doing is we are inviting people from every place in the states to talk to us about representing, by participating, by being a representative of ours in the county level, so that we can set up an office, so that we can have this county representative work with the local groups, the government, the mayors, the whomever, so that we can establish the presence in these counties.
And that's the work we're doing with the county managers, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And they will have an office, they will have employees, and theirs will be to help us establish homes in all the localities in the county. Theirs will be also to help us relate with business people so that we can find a way of getting our participants trained. But we are setting up brands in a franchise in all these counties. Initially, we will set up 3 to 4 businesses. And then we are looking for the county managers to help us expand these businesses across the county through the franchise system. Now, that's also a way for them to get rewarded. We're working out a way to money through this franchising system. So yes, we cannot do it by ourselves. Just alone, Dr. Khanna and I cannot do that. Dr. Khanna is a brilliant person who is traveling the country and who is doing, in different states, doing different things, but he cannot be in 3,000 places at the same time. So we need every single person who is touched in their heart, who has a friend, a relative, who is a returning, someone who is returning from incarceration, who can give back. And that's the only way we can do this. We look at this as a movement. We don't look at it as just an initiative where it's a not-for-profit entity that is sitting somewhere. No, we want to see this as a movement because we want to save these young adults. And we want to have as many people involved. And the same notion, it takes a village to raise a child. It's the same notion. All hands on deck, that's how we can do it. Well, and just one more thing. We like to work with churches. We like to work with religious organizations. We like to work with community-based organizations who already have something that can be adapted for our use. Go ahead.
I know that we're running out of time, and Angelica, if you allow me to, I just wanted to plug in. I know that the mission is clear, right? But one clear example of our mission is what Robert Cheryl has created. I want to plug in his book here. I don't know if you can see it. Rather than do that, let me quickly. I mean, Robert really recently wrote a book in which he's talking about his journey. The name of the book is The Journey Back to Now. And basically, by the way, the book is available in Amazon. If you want to see it right there, it's $14, $14.95. But it's interesting because this is a clear example of what we're trying to achieve in this relation. Robert, was in jail for multiple times, spent like 9 years in jail total. When he got out, he was able to adapt to society. And now he's running his own company. He has a cleaning company. And the goal now, what we're gonna do now that we have a partnership is to helping to establish and promote the initiative through the work that he has done in Nashville, Tennessee. But it's interesting, and you guys want to learn more about Robert, story, you could read it by buying his book. What do you think, Angelica?
Yeah, but I just want to add something about Robert. I mean, we are, and they do a fabulous job with the training and the whole mental framework of the individuals and letting them see that they are worth something and bringing them back to really have a desire to come back into society, and I really applaud him for what he's doing. And I think it's a fantastic, addition to what we're doing. And I know that we can take all this to lofty places, and we want to see that happen.
And of course, that is about, the expansion of Dr. Khanna's Returning Youth program, and how we are reaching to other states, other counties, working with programs like Robert's program and joining forces in that really powerful way. So, Clem, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here with Refael and I and to tell us really in depth what Dr. Khanna's program is all about, what the Returning Youth program is all about in great detail. We are extremely grateful for you for joining us here today. And of course,
I learned a lot about the whole concept, how they put it together.
Yeah, me too. So we thank you, Clem. Refael, thank you. Do we have any more updates, Refael, before we get out of here?
I just want to say that I'm very glad that you guys invited me. I feel forever in your debt. Angelica, you're doing a fabulous job, and I just love you.
Great job. We thank you very much. Refael, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, good. we're ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you
Take it
so
over.
much all for joining us here today on WPAT 9:30 a.m. If you're joining us from Facebook or from YouTube, thank you for joining us. And please come back next week, every Friday from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 12 p.m. Pacific. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.